and good evening to all viewers. 2021 is indeed a very special year for Birla High School. It is the 80th year of this legendary institution. So to celebrate this 80th year, we have decided to organize a talk show, Evergreen 80, where we shall peep into the pages of glory through the words of a few eminent guests who have long been associated with the BHS family.
Who else can we think of other than Miss Mukta Nain on this occasion? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, today we have Miss Mukta Nain with us, who has not only led the institution, but taken it to new heights and brought innumerable fame for us. She has not only envisioned and set goals for the organization, but also identified individual goals and helped each one to rise in their professional field. That is what makes her a leader. I'm sure when she's here, more than any introduction given by me, you all would certainly like to hear her experience, her journey, her story, and her vision that has made BHS one of the trendsetters of the city. Ma'am, we welcome you to Evergreen 80 and a very happy Independence Day.
Thank you so much, Panam and Devanshu. And I'm honored that you have invited me for this talk show, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Our pleasure, ma'am. Our pleasure. Ma'am, you have been associated with the Birla High School for the last so many years. How have you seen BHS evolving during this time?
Well, I joined Birla High School in 1997 as the headmistress, and it has been already a journey of 24 years. Evolve, I think it has. It was a case of the school being Cinderella at home and now being Cinderella at the ball. Things have evolved to such an extent, be it the quality of students, the teachers, the discipline. In those days, we did not have most of our classrooms air-conditioned like we have now. We did not have 3 elevators to move up to the floors. When I had to go around doing checking, can you imagine how many floors I had to climb? And of course, it was good for my figure. And now these elevators are not being very helpful, but we have that as a facility now. So all these things have evolved over the years. And if you're talking about evolving, I have seen more or less a change in management also. Because earlier, Ms. Vibra was the Secretary General. Now, General Chaturvedi is the Secretary General of Vidya Mandir Society. And very recently, our Deputy Secretary General, Mr. N. Banerjee, has also retired. And we have in place a new person. And you know what is his name? Let's see if you know. Colonel Bera. Colonel Bera has joined us as the new person replacing Mr. Banerjee. So all these things have taken place and evolved in the last 24 years. Thank you.
Ma'am, you had rewritten history back in 2001. Being the first female principal of Birla High School, what were the challenges that you had to face?
Well, first and foremost, I would say, Devanshu, that I did not create history. It was the management creating history. I was merely told that I should become the principal, but it's the management which created history by thinking that a male principal could be replaced by a lady. And so Ms. Vibra felt I was fit, and she recommended me to Mr. Birla, who also felt there was no harm in trying me out. And that is how I became principal. But being the first lady principal of Birla High School, there were some issues. And that is, remember I'm talking about so many years ago, nearly 20 years ago, right? This happened. At that time, people were not very eager, the men folk were not very eager to report to a lady principal. They did not want a lady boss. They had forgotten that a few years ago, they had also experienced a lady prime minister in the country. But all these were talks in the staff rooms and all. Nothing, nobody ever complained to me personally, but a few messages had gone to the management also. But they decided that they would trust me and allow me to continue. And I worked very hard for the school. There was never a day in the beginning that I was not carrying home files and reading through and trying to learn up the names of the teachers and finding out their backgrounds and their educational qualifications. And I worked very hard. And I felt that because I was just and fair, in a matter of a few months, even those male teachers were ready to listen to me and do as I was telling them to do. So there was no problem at all. Things evolved gradually, and this was the initial problem. But there were other major problems also in the school. One was a serious problem of discipline. You know that the first week when I was taking assembly and an exam was going on, and the children had to first come down for assembly, every boy came with his book to study from, textbook in hand, standing in line. And I refused to take assembly till they all went back and left their books and stood straight, and we had the prayers as they should be, as we should be having prayers. So all these things had to be ironed out. And it was in a question of few years. And of course, we had to maintain discipline also without using the cane, because I didn't want to be behind bars, right? But as you know, corporal punishment is not allowed. And how would you like a lady beating up the boys? It would not look very nice. So a few checks and measures had to be put in for discipline. And these checks and measures were the famous green, yellow, and red cards we introduced, which leveled out the discipline to a large extent. And I am sad, or should I say happy to say, that I had even expelled a few boys on grounds of poor discipline. And when you do these things, the rest settle down also. Right? So we did not have a problem after that. Discipline was a major issue, and that was looked into in a couple of months. Thank you.
Well, ma'am, that is really a tale. Now, it is said that a family makes a person. How has your family been a support in your career?
Let me tell you that my parents came to India after partition of India and Pakistan. We are Hindu Sindhis, and when we came to India, my father at that time was a young man, and he had lost his father, that is my grandfather, at a very young age. So he was a self-made businessman. My mother was a homemaker. They really could not do much to help us with our studies, but our parents put us into the finest schools. We were 4 siblings. My 2 brothers went to boarding school, and us 2 sisters were put in modern high school for girls. I'm proud to say that by good luck, I would say that I was always admitted to the best institutions in those days, schooling from Modern High, my graduation from the Reto, and my post-graduation from Jadavpur University. All these institutions were and are even now centers of excellence. And that is why I am the product of these institutions, and which has helped me to be a very determined person and a very disciplined person to handle a large school. This has helped me a lot. And I also want to share with you that in my 20 years as principal, for the last 10 years, my parents were almost bedridden and quite sick, with nurse and attendant and everything. And even on their bad days, if I ever said that you are not looking good today, I will not go to school, my mother would say, no, school is very important. So many children without you, it's not right. You must go to school. So I was sent to school, even if she or they were not well. That was their level of commitment for me also. And they were extremely proud that I was working and I was a principal. As I told you, we were the first generation of Nain women working outside the home. Thank you.
Well, ma'am, talking about families, we have a small gift from your brother and your family for you. Let's watch it.
Wow. Thank God. I can't believe this. My God. I really can't believe it. My God, I can't believe this. You all went to so much trouble. I'm sure Mrs. Sehgal has contacted my brother, but I think she's the only one who has his telephone number. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs.
Yeah.
Sehgal has
Thank
done.
God. That was my family, my two brothers. As you know, my parents are no more. So, yes, that's my family. Thank you so much.
And we are, from the entire team of Evergreen 80, we are thankful to Mr. Nain, Miss Nain's brother, and her entire family for giving us these memories. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Pictures speak louder than words. Well, moving ahead in this voyage. Ma'am, Birla High School is now one of the pace-setting schools in Kolkata. What steps did you take to make BHS at par with the modern education system? Do you agree that BHS is now one of the trendsetters of the city?
Well, Devanshu, when you are saying it's a trend setter and a pace setter, I do not agree with you, because I noticed that all schools are working very hard to do something good. Either they have a good fest, or they put up a good play, or they have good annual concert, or their prize distribution is wonderful, or their investiture is something to talk about. So I can't say that we are a trendsetter. We are no doubt one of the best CBSE schools in Eastern India, but there is one area I would say that we are a trendsetter of late, not when I have been principal, but when Mrs. Sehgal and Mrs. Singh, Farida Singh, who's the headmistress, in the COVID period, when suddenly the education system had to change and online teaching came on, then these two, the principal and the headmistress, Mrs. Saigal and Mrs. Singh, they worked very hard to ensure that all the teachers were doing an excellent job. And I must say that management also, General Chaturvedi, he readily pumped in lakhs of rupees for the training of all the teachers for online teaching. And as a result, I can proudly say that Birla High School is the best school where online teaching is concerned. And it's not only that, our teachers have shared their resources and their skills with each other. They have helped each other. A methodology has been shared. And I hear in the city and from people I know that people talk very highly about our online classes. So where online classes are concerned, I would say we are a trendsetter. Thank you.
Well, ma'am, during your tenure as the headmistress, then the principal, and now the director of Birla High Schools, if you have to choose 3 achievements, which would those be?
I think there were many achievements. One, as I said, and I think a school requires that, was discipline, reforming the discipline. Other achievements were, I consider the school winning the Telegraph Award, the School of the Year Award in 2015 as one of the feathers in our caps. So that was a major achievement. And as an administrator, there were some achievements, like we did not have afternoon activities, sports activities for middle school. We made these compulsory and we hired a lot of coaches to train the boys. We TT, basketball, karate, yoga, roller skating. We introduced that. That was a new sort of a new trend in those days, having compulsory sports activities. Then, of course, the boys would be interested in knowing that I was the principal who brought back Odyssey. It was lying buried for many years. Management was not giving permission for Odyssey. And I had to sort of promise that everything would go well and an Odyssey was permitted. So revival of Odyssey was, I would say, I would consider it as an achievement. And then in the +2, we only had 2 streams, science and commerce. And a lot of people told us that boys who want to study law and all, they don't have to study science and commerce. Why not keep something simpler for them, like humanities, which will be helpful to them also later in life. So we started off also with the humanities stream. So that also, I would say, would be one of our achievements. Thank you.
Wow, lovely. Now, ma'am, we have a small presentation which would rekindle some of the old memories.
don't have many of these pictures. One must have taken a lot of trouble to put this together.
We
Very
could
nice.
go on. We could go on playing that video over and over again, ma'am. Well, ma'am, a span of more than 20 years and still continuing. What has been the motivating mantra behind Ms. Mukta Nain?
24 years in Birla High, I have continued, but I cannot write off my career in the Retto House with the Rettos, which was for another 13 years. So it is nearly, you can say, over 36, 37 years in the teaching line, in the administrative and teaching line, and still continuing. Well, I would say that I'm working because I feel I'm appreciated. People are valuing me for my experience and knowledge. And also because I think the blessings of my parents from above, who always wanted me to continue working and not give up very early, all this has helped me. And I would like to say that for me, the woods are lovely, dark and deep, as Robert Frost has said. And I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep.
That's indeed motivating for us too.
Yeah.
The students of Birla High School are well known for their pranks and mischiefs. If you could tell us one such incident and how you had tackled the situation.
Why should we say students of Birla High School, boys of Birla High School? All boys play pranks. And now if you ask the principal of Sushila Birla, she says the girls are also playing pranks. Right? So all teenagers are playing pranks. And there were many in my tenure. But one of them was very interesting and took place soon after I became principal. One morning, the coordinator of the +2 called me up to say, you know, the staff rooms are all divided and +2 staff rooms are separate, that the staff room was locked and with an unusual lock, a big lock, and no one knew how to open the lock. And so they could not enter the staff room. They were all standing with their bags, and you know, teachers' bags are heavy, standing in the corridor, waiting to get in and wondering what to do. This information came to me on the intercom, and they waited for some time and nobody could open that lock. So in those days, 20 years ago, we used to have a carpenter called Ali who used to live in the quarters only. So I called up Ali and I told him to come and break the lock. And while the teachers were in the corridor, boys were peeping out of the corridors to see what the teachers would do, right? And the carpenter came and he cut the lock and the teachers could enter and everything was over in 15-20 minutes to the disappointment of the boys. And the carpenter then came to me and said that this lock, it is a very big lock. I'm talking about it in the present tense, you know why. The very big lock. And he said that let us get 2 keys made and you will be able to utilize this lock. And it's a very strong lock. So we got 2 keys made. That lock was kept in my drawer. And whenever board papers came for correction, we would lock that room with this lock. And I used to look after that lock almost as much as I looked after the trophies of the school. And when I became director, I handed that lock over to Mrs. Sehgal as a legacy because it has a long history and story behind it. I must ask her if it is still safe. Thank you.
So it must have been called the historic lock.
Historic. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Now we get into one of the most exciting sections of this talk show. You have to answer in one word.
Yeah.
And that word will be the first thing that comes to your mind on hearing the following.
Yeah.
And to honor this, we have called this segment One Woman Show.
Okay.
Okay. Are we ready, ma'am? Good to go?
Yes, yes.
First word, Birla High School.
What's what?
Birla High School. Birla High School.
Best school.
That's inspiration.
Abdul Kalam.
Picnics.
Birla High School picnics.
Vacation. Vacation.
Vacation. Many holidays spent abroad.
And last but not the least, punishment.
Oh, not corporal.
Ma'am, that was absolutely straight from your heart. That was absolutely straight from your heart. We now have a short message from someone who has been your friend since the Loreto days. Let's hear her. Let's hear her, what she has to say.
Right at the outset, I would like to thank Mrs. Loveleen Sehgal for giving me an opportunity to speak about my relationship with Ms. Mukta Nain. Of course, I can speak volumes about Ms. Nain, but I shall try and be brief. Ms. Nain was my peer mentor in Loreto House, and a rather formidable one at that. My principal in Birla High School, but above all, she has been a loyal and valued friend over the years. I entered the hallowed portals of Loreto House in 1991 with great trepidation, and the first person I encountered there was Ms. Mukta Nain. She looked me over with her discerning eye and decided that I would need much grooming in the art and science of becoming a competent teacher if I had to measure up to her exacting standards demanded of what she claimed was a true Loreto educator. And there has been no looking back ever since. Of course, one never quite measured up to her exemplary work habits, a quality greatly valued by her, but we soon became very good friends. I, of course, having received much more than I could possibly ever give back. Mukta has been with me in good times and not so good times. She's a caring traveling companion, sensitive to others' needs, ready to seek out adventure, even in the serpentine labyrinth of Lucknow's infamous Garbar Jhala, and one on whose pragmatic advice I rely on in sticky situations, even today. She has been an indulgent aunt to my son and a comfort to my mother. She's a friend in need and a friend indeed, and I'm very grateful to her for the shared memories of working, learning, and laughing together. With her remarkable qualities of head and heart, Ms. Mukta Nain has walked many an extra mile for her students, several of whom opted for political science in college and fared exceedingly well thereafter, and they owe all this to their respected Miss Nain. I wish her the very best on this special occasion and pray that she may continue to touch young lives with her warmth and humanity and inspire them to strive for excellence. Thank you very much. All the best.
That was indeed very special from Ms. Tat. Ma'am, we have one more surprise for you, the rapid fire segment, and we have called it the firing line. You'll be given two options and you have to answer rapidly, choosing any one. First, Hindi High School or Birla High School?
Birla High School.
Google Meet or personal meeting?
Personal meeting.
Awards or appreciation?
Appreciation.
Playing field or classroom?
Playfield.
The director's room or the principal's office?
Director's room.
Well, that was, ma'am, indeed fast and furious. We have almost come to the end of this conversation now, and it was indeed an enriching voyage. Last but not the least, ma'am, where do you see yourself and Birla High School 10 years down the line?
10 years down the line, I will not be in Birla High, but I will have to find out, if I'm alive, what is happening. And I think it will be an age of coding and artificial intelligence. And I hope robots don't play a very important role in education. I think it's going to be a totally different world. And whether people like us will be able to adjust to it or no. The reason why I'm saying this is I have a cousin who in the United States, my niece rather, she's moved into a house where everything is with apps. Opening the door, regulating the microwave, washing machine, this, that. I was telling her that I don't think I can ever visit you because that is not my cup of tea. I'd rather live a simple life with no robots, no apps, no heavy technology, which I think the world is going to move into. And artificial intelligence is going to play a very important role. And 10 years hence, I hope my successors will be able to keep pace with the new trends in education and will keep improving like we have matched this trend of online education. So all that has to be done very swiftly. Whoever is going to look after the school then should also be a person who is very quick. In this, I would believe in the Olympian motto, that is Citius, Altius, Fortius. Faster, higher, stronger. But to work as a team. Thank you.
We all pray for that, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Nain, for agreeing to be a part of this inaugural episode of Evergreen 80. It was an absolute honor to have you as a guest.
And I want to thank you also because you all have done a wonderful job. And I'm so impressed with the pictures you have put together, the contact you have made with my best friend from the Reto, Mrs. Kaveri Dutt, and the fact that you have, my brother was also, I'm surprised that he has worked so hard and brought out so many pictures to share with you. I'm going to call him up immediately to thank him. Thank you very much, the two of you, Spandan and Devanshu, and also a big thank you to the principal, Mrs. Saigal, who's doing a marvelous job of the school now. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends and teachers, we hope that you have liked this episode. We are ready to sail further in this voyage in our second episode, as we will host the people who have made BHS proud over the years. Stay tuned.